Emma was born in a small town in a simple family. As a child she loved to sew outfits for her dolls. So after school she got a profession as a seamstress and moved to the big city. Here the young woman got a job as a seamstress in a factory, where she sewed simple everyday clothes. Of course, she dreamed of having her own atelier and sewing her own collection of clothes, but it was all just a dream for now. She sometimes went to nightclubs with her work colleagues to distract from her work life. It was during one of these evenings that Emma met Daniel, a cheerful and athletic and always stylishly dressed guy. Relationship between Emma and Daniel grew quickly. After a month Emma could not think of anyone but Daniel, and after another 3 months they started living together. They decided to rent an apartment and they paid rent equally and shared all the household chores equally. The only thing Emma knew about Daniel was that he worked as a driver for some rich widow. He did not tell her anything else, no matter how much she asked him. But one day Daniel came home despondent and practically crying. Emma began to ask him what had happened and he confessed that he had lost heavily in an underground casino, owed $50,000 and that if he did not pay back, he would be killed. Emma consoled him, but she did not know how else to help her beloved. Suddenly Daniel looked at Emma strangely and for the first time talked about the woman for whom he worked. Her name was Sylvia and it turned out that she and her late husband had frozen their biomaterials while he was still alive in order to find a surrogate mother and give birth to a child. And coincidentally, Sylvia is just now looking for someone who would agree to carry her and her husband's children for $150,000. Emma did not know what to say. So much information was hard to take in at once, and even more shocking seemed to be the behavior of Daniel. He begged her to agree and promised that it would solve all their problems. Daniel was eloquent and the woman was too much in love to leave him in the lurch. After thinking for a few days Emma finally agreed. Daniel's joy was boundless and he quickly made an agreement with Sylvia. A few days later Emma and Sylvia met to discuss the details. Emma found Sylvia to be a nice woman and immediately took to her. She told her a long story about herself, how she met her husband, how they fell in love, showed their pictures, and finally she got to the point. Sylvia immediately indicated that if Emma agreed to carry her and her husband's child, she would receive a generous financial reward. Emma was uncomfortable discussing such things, but the life of her beloved was at stake, and she asked the question about fixing all the conditions in the contract. Sylvia liked that Emma had a businesslike attitude and assured her that she had nothing to worry about. Tomorrow she would be able to come to Sylvia's lawyer and sign all the necessary papers. When Emma left Sylvia's house, she was somehow uneasy, but she still made up her mind. Emma signed the documents, then several IVF replants followed, 2 of which were unsuccessful and only the 3rd time everything worked out. Sylvia gave Emma the best products, gave her clothes and cosmetics, in a word supported her in everything. The first ultrasound showed twins, but Emma easily endured the pregnancy. From the very beginning the woman felt some kind of connection with these children, as if they were her own. She convinced herself that she was just carrying someone else's babies inside her and that there was no need to get used to them. In the autumn Emma gave birth to a baby boy and a baby girl. The doctors wanted to take the babies to Sylvia right away, but Emma asked if she could have a few minutes to look at them and say goodbye. She looked at the 2 red wrinkled faces, smiled and whispered softly that she loved them very much and wished them happiness. Emma suffered from the impending separation, but realized that they were not her children and it was too late to change anything. After checking out of the maternity hospital Emma decided to stop by Sylvia's mansion to get her things. She did not want to see anyone, so she decided to go without Daniel. On the way Emma was thinking about how she would live now with Daniel, who would continue to work in this house and would probably tell her about the children without understanding her pain. Emma was walking to Sylvia's house, and for the umpteenth time she marveled at the amazing nature and clean air around her, and thought that the children would be fine here, and they would not need anything. Comforted with these thoughts, she approached the house and saw that Daniel's car was parked in the yard. Emma entered the house and as she passed by the study she involuntarily heard fragments of phrases. She stopped and could not believe her ears. From the conversation she realized that in fact Sylvia was infertile and in order to get heirs from her husband, she offered Daniel to use Emma eggs secretly from her, for an additional payment to him personally. Emma descended quietly and hurried to disappear before anyone noticed her. She needed time to think of a plan of action. The woman understood that Sylvia had a lot of money and connections, and she would use all her powers. Emma decided to act according to the law and turned to a good lawyer. When everything was prepared, Emma told everything to Daniel and promised that he would answer for what he had done. Daniel of course denied everything, but no one could save him now. Sylvia hired 3 lawyers to defend her, who tried to refer to the agreement that Emma had signed about the transfer of the children, but Emma's talented lawyer defended the case in court with honor. He stated that there was no information in the contract that the biomaterial would belong to Emma, and it was pure fraud. In addition, the DNA test on the court confirmed the relationship between Emma and the children. Sylvia could not survive the shame and threat of imprisonment, and during the accusatory speech of Emma's lawyer she had a heart attack. The paramedics who quickly arrived were unable to save the elderly woman. Emma won the case, and her children inherited the entire fortune of Sylvia and her husband. So Emma became a rich woman and mother of 2 wonderful children. But most importantly, Emma learned a lifelong lesson that you cannot fully trust people who ask you to sacrifice something valuable for their own good.